Okay, thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks for Eric for your time. We're talking about a very niche opportunity here, which is called patent litigation financing. In the US, it's very well known as litigation financing, but in this case, we're even focusing more on a vertical driven niche, which is patent litigation. Um, just everyone, just I guess a disclaimer. I personally did have money in this, and I did get return, which I will share real numbers during this whole series, so you will know. Um, and Eric is the absolute expert on this one, so we're gonna discuss what it is, how does it work, and things like that, and real numbers and things like that. And just a disclaimer, this information provided here is for educational purpose only. All information provided here is provided in good faith. However, we make no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of any information provided. Under no circumstance should we have any liability to you for any loss or damage or any kind incurred as a result of the use of the information shared here or reliance on any information provided here. Your use of the information and your reliance on any information provided here is solely at your own risk. Okay, so this is a high risk, high reward situation, so I just want to make it very clear to everyone. Okay, let's get started. So, Eric, who are you and what is patent litigation finance?
That's a great place to start. So I'm Eric Morehouse. I'm a patent attorney. I've been in private practice in the United States for over 30 years. I'm also a founder of a litigation fund who finances patent infringement litigation in the U.S. So what is litigation finance? At the broadest sense, it's when a fund pays for all litigation costs, attorney's fees, costs, for a case, usually representing a plaintiff who's been damaged in some ways. And in return, assuming the case is successful, then the funder receives a portion of the profits from the case.
Okay, so let me just summarize in very clear, like simple terms. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? My understanding is that litigation financing is for people like me or somebody else fund a lawsuit to sue somebody and get a profit sharing of the, I guess, lawsuit profits if the lawsuit's won in the end. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And a close analogy is when law firms, especially in the US, take cases on contingency. For example, in personal injury, like car accidents in the United States, there are a lot of law firms that represent plaintiffs, people who have been hurt in car accidents, and they don't charge the person who got hurt, but then they just get a percentage of the profits when there's a settlement or a jury award. Now, litigation finance is like that, but it usually relates to more complicated cases where the costs are much higher, where law firms are unable to take it on contingency. So in that case, the funder, like the bank, would pay for the law firm and all the other costs. And then when there's a judgment, then gets part of the profits.
Okay, that's great. So that means I'll so for example, if there's a case you decide to take on or your associate decided to take on, I'm gonna fund you the legal costs for the plaintiff, and you're gonna win the case. If you win the case, I as a funder get part of the profit.
Exactly correct. It's exactly correct.
Okay, and I think the litigation financing we're talking about here is strictly about patent, right?
Yeah, that's correct. It's just interesting, a bit of history. Litigation finance started in the UK and Australia because it was not legal for law firms to take cases on contingency. So it was really pioneered in those jurisdictions decades ago, and it came into the US about 10 or 15 years ago. And it's really for more complex cases where the costs were rather high, where law firms didn't want to do it on contingency.
Got it. And I think for everyone's benefit, I think my understanding is that if a lawyer takes a case on contingency, that means the lawyer does not charge the client money up front. The lawyer only gets his legal fees paid after the case is won and as a part of profit sharing in the end, right? So
That's
essentially,
exactly, it's
yeah, so
exactly
essentially
correct.
lawyers, if the lawyers takes on the case for free upfront, that's called contingency. Okay, got it.
Yeah, but this little niche exists for patent infringement cases in that law firms are not willing to take more expensive cases and more complex cases on contingency. So it opened the door for litigation financing to come in to finance patent cases. Litigation financing is still in its infancy in the United States. And because patent law is very specialized, there are very, very few funds who will actually finance patent cases. And we're one of the only ones who will do that. So it gives us a lot of deal flow so we can pick and choose the strongest cases to actually finance.